This is Wolfphototech coming directly to you through the power of the internet via the YouTube video sharing platform. I haven't done a video in a few days, and I did one recently which wasn't that big, but this is going to be just a quick little news video here. This is my kitty Orange. And he's up. Hey, you grabbed my notebook. You're the one that grabbed my notebook. My notebook, just with bullet points. Okay, let's start out with the video with the first thing. Yves Guillemont. This video will cover the past few days of Nintendo news. I'm going to leave out a few things because I'm not going to cover every little bit, but I'll cover some interesting stuff. Yves Guillemont, the CEO of UbiSoft, in a recent, not so recent, well, kind of recent, IGN interview, basically said the Nintendo NX is amazing. Cue the crickets. He said this about the Nintendo Wii U, and I believe he also said this about the Nintendo Wii as well. The second story. Notice how quickly I went through that one. Nintendo is reported to be taking final orders for the Wii U in Europe. The rumor states that Nintendo has September 30th as the final day, which is today, for said orders. The original source of this was GameFreak.co.uk. Now, first and foremost, this is actually a fairly small online retailer. Not rather notable. It may actually be feasible that Nintendo is indeed finishing up on the final orders for the Nintendo Wii U for the next few months. Kind of sad to see Nintendo toss in the towel so quickly, but it's what Nintendo kind of does with its consoles. They may only support the system for about a year after the next one comes out, and then kind of just give up on it. This has been the case since the NES and the Super NES, yes. The third little news story here is a little bit of clarification on the rumor about... This is clarification, not clarification, on the rumor about Pokemon being released, an actual Pokemon game being released for the Nintendo NX within the first 6 months. This rumor actually came from MCU. That's just what I have it written down as in my notes. And that the original rumor speculated that it would be a remake of Pokemon Red and Pokemon Blue version. Or would it be in Japan, Pokemon Red and Leaf? No, Pokemon Red and Green version. Got a little gas, it's late at night again. Now, this is where this rumor kind of gets garbly, and as you kind of see, I scribbled it out in my notes, because I was like, okay, I started reading through this rumor in finer detail, and I'm like, okay, this seems odd, because first and foremost, the original rumor by them basically revolved around there will be a Mario game, a Zelda game, and a Pokemon game for the NX in the first 6 months. The first two are kind of a shoo-in. There will be a Mario type game. There will be a Legend of Zelda game. We already know that. The Pokemon game is the interesting one. And the original one point that popped up was that it was going to be a remake of Red and Blue, or Red and Green in Japan. And it was being developed by GameFreak, which is interesting because that usually would indicate a main series Pokemon game not a spin-off like Pokemon Shuffle or Pokemon Rumble U or anything like that. And by the way, many video game news websites kind of treated this like, oh my god, a Pokemon game for a Nintendo system in the first 6 months. It's not like that has ever happened. Well, actually, it happens all the time. It's usually just a spin-off game, kind of like Pokemon Rumble U for the Wii U, and then there was like Pokemon Park and a few others. There's where it's a really simple side diversion that was released in the first 6 months of a Nintendo system for the Nintendo home consoles or the handhelds that kind of tides people over. Pokemon Rumble originally released for the Nintendo 3DS pretty close to its original launch. So that kind of shocker to many news sites and many YouTube personalities is kind of like there's always been Pokemon games coming out for the systems early on. The thing is that this rumor stipulates is by GameFreak, which is different. And then there's this updated version of this rumor, which actually expands upon the question that it could potentially be an enhanced version of Pokemon Sun and Moon, or a remake of Pokemon FireRed, LeafGreen, which is basically the moment why I scribbled out this story in my notes, as I was writing it down and like, okay, this rumor has gone to speculation. Doesn't sound like much of a rumor. I do believe that there's probably going to be a Pokemon game for the Nintendo NX in the first year of the system being released. Now the question is it a mainline or is it a spin-off? Spin-offs are common all over the place. Mainline, that is much rarer. Now I'm going on to story number 4. And this is about the rumor of the Tesco accidentally putting the release date and the price of the Nintendo NX up on their website for pre-orders. And the original release date, by the way, the Europeans write the release dates different than Americans, so I had to translate it. It's marked down as 31/12/16, which would be the 31st of December 2016, which is clearly incorrect because Nintendo has stated that the system will be out in March, and that would actually be incorrect date for the Nintendo NX, because it would come out as March. Well, it actually would be whatever day, March 2017. So that is the first problem with this rumor, with this leak here by Tesco. It's not a rumor, it's a leak, but it's potentially just a placeholder set of numbers for now. Now, onto the price. The price was stated as $349. £349 and 99 whatever cents they use. I think it's called cents. First and foremost, many websites, including Boogie2988, misconverted to American dollars. I was converting right off the bat. In the case of pounds to American dollars, it's 1-to-1. It's 1-to-1. So in American dollars, 2 pounds if it's the price of $349.99, it would basically be 349 US, well, 349 pounds would be the same as $349 in American money. So it's not going to go up to like $450. That was just a goofy mistake that occurred on some Nintendo news fan site. They got spread out into the web and went to all of the places. Now, if there was a price difference adjusting for the up and down motion in the markets in the conversion rate, it would be typically $10 more in American. So either the American dollar is 1-to-1 with the British pound, or it's slightly askew in such a fashion that it would be $10 more in American currency than it would be in British. So there we go. As I said before, the date is clearly placeholder. The price is possibly a good indication where the Nintendo NX will be. It's 349 in pounds, which would also be $349 in the United States currency. In euros, it would probably be 359. Now on to the fifth story. This is just not even really a story. This is just a simple memo that said the Nintendo New York store, the second floor will be closed October 1st. And that's it with that one. It could be them setting up for displays for October, for Halloween, and all that other stuff. And that's a very good possibility. And it could also be sort of a prep for the Nintendo NX reveal. But it's October 1st. There's a very good chance that it's just simply them prepping for October, Halloween, ghosts and goblins. So there we go with that. Now on the sixth point, Ubisoft is also yet again, as I said in the first point in the story, because it just keeps rolling like that. That Ubisoft and Yves Guillemont are yet again saying that the Nintendo NX will resurrect Nintendo as a company and elevate them back up to an amazing position in the video game industry. And I say, like, cool and all, but yet again, as I said before, Ubisoft has spoken credible volumes about how the Nintendo Wii and the Wii U were going to be amazing systems. They're awesome systems. They both have awesome games, but that's just where it floats. And I'm done with my notes, so I don't need them anymore. And that's that. On the other side notes, a few other things. That's the end of that. And Ubisoft, after saying nice things about Nintendo again. On other side notes, recent bits of information kind of swirling about the internet, placeholder dates and this and that for the Nintendo NX reveal, kind of focusing down to October 4th. Okay, which is pretty close to that October 1st date for the Nintendo New York store closing on the second floor. So there we might have something. We will know for sure in better detail. As was noted in recently, Nintendo goofed up and accidentally released Paper Mario Color Splash on the Wii U eShop early. I didn't download it. I usually am always buying physical games. I'm a physical game person, so there you go. I kind of like to collect. Now, there's also been a few things. A few people have been covering news, this and that, like HMK and Boogie 2988. There are some factual errors and logic gaffes that pop up here and there between all the other YouTubers. First and foremost, Boogie 2988 used the general rumor speculation that the Nintendo NX will most likely use the Tegra X2 chip, which, by the way, first and foremost, let's be clear, requires way too much power. It's a 10-watt chip. It requires way too much power for Nintendo with a portable system. It just eats up too much power. The Nintendo NX as a portable gaming system would only have something like a 2 or 3 hour battery lifespan if it used a Tegra X2 chip in it. Super Metal Dave has pointed this out before. The Tegra X2, the X1 and the X2 are physically too big. B, they eat too much power. And C, they're old technologies. Also, furthermore, NVIDIA has simply stated multiple times before that they essentially have taken the Tegra line of chips, the X1, the X2, and took those and moved them towards smart cars. I'm talking about cars. They repurposed that entire line towards that. In fact, the Tegra X2 chip has no improvement on the GPU side of the chip. It's all on the CPU, general math, logic processing. So there's really no major improvement. Uh, all likelihood, all speculation aside, all the rumors pointing towards the Tegra X1 and the X2, the probability of those chips being the chips that Nintendo use for the Nintendo NX is extremely low. The most likely situation would be that Nintendo would actually use companies they may have actually used in the past. On the console side, Nintendo has always used ATI and AMD, and in fact, funny enough, Nintendo actually owned Silicon Graphics when Nintendo owned when Nintendo owned Rare, and way back in the N64 GameCube days, Nintendo owned Silicon Graphics, which later became ATI, and then was bought out by AMD, which became AMD's graphics processor division. So Nintendo actually owned AMD's graphics card division at one point in time. They may use that. They may use DMP, which they used with the Nintendo 3DS. They may use ARM, which they have used in the past with the Game Boy line of consoles. They have used those companies before. ARM and DMP are both companies that are great with making really small, energy-efficient chips that can do a shitload of processing power. Maybe not on AMD, NVIDIA, upper-end AMD, NVIDIA power level, but they're really good for mobile devices. And that's what it is. And Nintendo does tend to favor, yes, older technologies and cheap older technology, but Nintendo also has a favoritism towards stuff that is proven and what else? What else is very energy efficient, and that is largely why they favor older technologies. That's one of the two major points why Nintendo favors older technologies, is that it's typically very energy efficient, and it's also easy to program for because there's a lot of resources out there. Uh, I don't entirely believe that it's gonna be a Tegra chips in the NX. Uh, it's just they're big and they eat up a lot of power, and it costs a lot of money to shrink them down. So, what else is there? Well, I will close up the video. I have recently bought also a few books to read, some coding, internet stuff. Got a bunch of side projects I'm working on. I might throw out. Uh, Thank you very much for watching my video. Consider subscribing. Consider voting on the video, leaving comments below, telling me what you think, etc., etc., etc. Why do I say etc., etc., etc.? I really don't want to shove this part down your throat all the time. I would just simply hey, if this person's interesting, I'm going to subscribe to this person. That's awesome. Feel free to leave me links to videos you think I might be interested in. However, please note that I pretty much know English first and foremost. I'm not too good with other languages. So if you're leaving me links to German news channels and stuff like that, I'm not terribly good with that stuff. I know a little bit of German, I know a little bit of Spanish, but not enough to get me by on a fast-paced situation. Okay? Thank you very much. Have a wonderful night.